Hey everybody, welcome to the program WRSA Radio. I'm your host G1. As always, hope you're having a good week. Been a busy one for me as I get ready to go on the road. So just a heads up, I will not have a show out next week due to that road trip. So look for me back the following Thursday. With that out of the way, let's get into the show. It's going to be a short one today, I think. I don't have a lot to say really. Why is that? Well, this week has just been kind of sad and depressing in the political spectrum, political sort of way. We saw the final nail in the coffin of American politics, at least as far as I'm concerned. AIPAC, rich Jewish donors, and neocons have fully assumed control over the GOP, and MAGA is dead, I think. It just doesn't really quite know it yet. I hate this. I really do. It's not something that I want to see, and not something that I gleefully announce. I've been pulling for Trump with all of his faults and shortcomings and all the things that I disagree with him, the things that I've been disappointed with him on this term, this go-around. I still was pulling for him because I believed that he was kind of the one last chance that we had. And, I want him to succeed. And unfortunately, he's allowed himself and the party to become completely tied to foreign ownership. He made a pact with people who do not have the interest of the American people in mind. Well, at least heritage Americans and heritage Europeans, same thing. They're the very same people who were trying to put him in jail, and the very same people he campaigned against and fought against in 2016 and throughout his first administration. And now, given the sharp turn that we saw here, I still believe that he did this out of survival, as it seems to be his only way of escaping the punishment of these people when he's out of office again. Whether he was, you call it successful, or he just rubbed people the wrong way, these establishment type, these people that I'm talking about, they were out to get him. And, they went after him, and they've still been going after him. And I think that this sharp turn that we have seen in his positions is because he came to an agreement. I have to appreciate that. I have to give him some consideration for that. It's very easy for me to say, he's taken the cheap way out of the trap and be critical of him. I can easily say that, it's not the decision that I would make because I'm sitting here comfortably in my chair, not facing the same choice. Cover up the Epstein files to prevent citizens knowing how sold out they are to Israel, and attack Iran to please those same Israeli masters. Or have your family and yourself possibly be prosecuted on heaps of charges, and you're either going to end up being bankrupted or in jail or both. Honestly, that's not a hard decision to make. I can see why he would make the choice to take that route that he has. So I can't be too disappointed. It's what we can expect from someone put in that position. It's still a disappointment. It's still a shame to see somebody that you thought might have the power and capability and the reach to be able to avoid that trap. And then to see them not avoid it. So that's the disappointment. So let's get to the meat of what I'm talking about. Thomas Massie lost his primary this Tuesday in what on paper looks to be really a puzzling election. Just to give you a hint of what I mean, I have until just today never seen a picture or a video of his opponent. In all the articles that I read or videos that I saw leading up to this primary, and to confess, I did not follow this primary, terribly closely. I don't live in that district. It was from afar, just the interest of what this means for national politics. However, with that all being said, all the videos and articles and everything that I saw leading up to this, they always just had pictures of Massie. No one ever put in pictures or videos of his opponent. No one that I saw. I'm sure there's examples out there. I'm sure there's interviews of the guy. But it's not like he was plastered all over the place. The guy's apparently been somewhat of a ghost. Even at his own election rallies, he was scarcely present, and the rallies were sparsely attended. No prominent politicians, other people in Kentucky, or any other place for that matter, campaigning for him. Only the president campaigned for him. Although he mostly did that remotely, putting out commercials and tweets and things for him. He did make a big appearance for him back and took some criticism while the stuff going on in Iran. He went down there and campaigned. So this guy who no one really got on board with, who can't bother to even half-ass a campaign event, somehow manages to get 10,000 more votes than a sitting congressman. Mostly mail-in ballots, by the way. And the overall vote total was almost exactly double the previous election. Now, I guess there's explanations for that. But either something fishy has happened here, or perhaps it really was just the heavily influenced campaign, the foreign money flowing in, putting out commercials, this kind of thing. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was that money that drove voter turnout and this swing in ballots and mail-in ballots, which we've heard nothing but bad things about over the last 4 years, particularly from the Trump campaign or Trump camp. But either way, what we have seen is a complete disaster for American politics, because one of the only sitting congressmen who pays more than just passing lip service to the Constitution was just ran out of office by massive amounts of cash from a foreign country. If China or India or Iran, for example, were to heavily back a candidate through money sent to their citizens here living in the U.S., people would be up in arms. They'd be demanding that these, fake campaign finances be investigated because it's illegal to funnel cash into U.S. campaigns from foreign nationals. Well, except Israelis have dual citizenship, so they're not technically foreign nationals, are they? Even though they really are, because their loyalty is certainly not to the U.S., and many of them are very wealthy, and so they use their money to put out all of these commercials and ads and accusers and all kinds of things. Pay for all kinds of research and, opposition research, that kind of thing. This is a horrible thing. It's horrible because we can't get people to understand that those two scenarios are exactly the same. Just because one is a small handful of extremely wealthy Israelis and the other might be a government funneling money to individuals to give as individual donations, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And it's horrible. MAGA boomers would be infuriated to see this happen with an Asian candidate being backed by Chinese nationals. But since it's Israelis doing the backing here, well, it must be because, God promised them 3,000 years ago that the 4th Kentucky district would be loyal to Israel. I don't know. I just find the whole thing very distasteful and disrespectful, and our ancestors are very disappointed. And I also think that there's a tell here that maybe people are just kind of starting to pick up on. I saw a little bit of rumble today in some of the comments on social media. If there are some questionable mathematics in the vote totals, what does that mean? It means that the GOP has learned its lesson and has seized control of the machine. Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? I'm not sure yet. It would explain why there's not a whole lot of interest in getting to the real bottom of the irregularities. No, 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 no. That's not a problem that we want to fix. We just want to be in control of it. Maybe explain why there's not a whole lot of concern about losing Congress in the fall. Can't have us lowly peasants actually deciding something. That's far too risky for the markets and the cash flow. It's all very tiresome. But is it the only way to fix things? Because it brings up a point about Thomas Massie. I didn't always agree with Massie. This isn't really about me being pro-Massie or supporting Massie over Trump, anything like that. That's not what I'm angry about. What I'm angry about is the foreign influence. The people who are not Americans, not really, who are deciding what the people of a district in the middle of Kentucky, what their representation should look like. That's a problem. But at any rate, I think that there were times that he was far too concerned about holding to the letter of the rules when it was clear that the rules were so far out of touch with reality, or the reality of the situation, that they've become meaningless. It doesn't do us any good to follow the rules if nobody's following the rules, right? So is what happened here with his primary also an example of someone who was just too good to be part of this cesspool? He was unwilling to sacrifice his integrity in order to make real long-term political change? Or was it just because he wasn't willing to bend the knee to the blue star, so he had to go? I would like to believe that he was simply not willing to acknowledge the reality that we're not going to win by following the rules, because our enemies do not adhere to them, and they could care less about them, and they only want to use them when it's convenient for them. And he just wasn't really willing to accept that and recognize that we may have to break things before we can fix them. I'd like to believe that, but I suspect, as I indicated before, and I know that this is the truth, he just wouldn't bend the knee, so he had to go. Now, either way, I don't like the outcome of it, because we must have people like him around just to keep those of us who are willing to do what is necessary from completely falling into the abyss. We have to have these people to pull us back from the edge when we've gone as far as we can go without seeing eternal damnation. It's important for any body of people, any organization, to have its intellectuals and its actors, its action people. But it's also important for them to have people who serve as a moral compass and those who are compassionate and see things from a different perspective. I think Thomas Massie, in a lot of ways, was a moral compass, or a moral thermometer, at least. A constitutional thermometer for the body of Congress. Lord knows the rest of them are corrupt and horrible people, with few exceptions, okay, him being one of them. But we can't have lockstep compliance and servitude. It's service and servant leadership, not slavishly following the uniparty. I don't think we've seen the last of Massie. I suspect he'll be around politics for some time in some capacity, but he probably will take some time off when he's out of Congress and figure out what he's going to do. So it may be that after this term ends, he disappears for a little while. But I think he'll be back. Certainly before 28. But anyway, there's more going on this week that we could get into, but I don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to basically hold off on much of that. We had one thing that I did want to kind of jump into really quickly. We had another, what appears to be, transgender shooting this week involving 2 young people. I say appears to be because we don't really have confirmation of that, because, conveniently the media is not addressing that. But they basically took the blueprint from a number of previous shooters and copy-pasted it into California. I saw some of the video that they live streamed, which didn't actually show anything horrible. It was edited, but what I saw tells me exactly what I need to know. These kids were influenced by or part of the Order of the Nine Angles cult that is online. Now, I've talked about them before. They are transgender satanic cult that has this whole mishmash of beliefs. I can't really say I can't say they're real Satanists. I think they're more LARPers, but it's just a bunch of chopped up ideologies and symbols from different groups and beliefs that offend people and make people upset. They're all about spreading chaos and destruction because they hate the world and themselves. They're nihilists. They somehow manage to cram Satanism and transgenderism and Nordic symbols and Nazi symbols and socialistic ideologies. It's just all this mishmash into what is really confusing from the outside. If you try to logically make all of those things kind of fit together, it just doesn't really work. Nazis persecuted transgenders and put a stop to hedonistic behaviors, and Nordic pagan religions wouldn't accept satanic religion. So I don't know what it's all supposed to be, how it's all supposed to fit together. I don't think that's really the important aspect of it. It has an internal logic to it, I guess, for them, but it's LARPing at a really weird level. But regardless, it's chaos, and it's dangerous because it's encouraging these mentally ill young people to paint words and phrases on guns and tactical gear and go attack people. This is the same group of people who inspired the Charlie Kirk assassin, the Catholic school shooter, just this host of others. There's a whole bunch of them out there. The mosque shooter in Australia. That same kind of blueprint is being replayed over and over and over again. It's not really a true organization that's being led by some charismatic personality on the internet. It's just a bunch of degenerates that hate everything and want to kill it. But the warning about them needs to go out, and it needs to be spread far and wide to keep a vigilant eye on those who might fall into the sway of this circle, because they're just ticking time bombs. I mean, this is truly, and I'm not one to raise the flag. I certainly advocate free speech, and I don't want to see people get unduly categorized or criticized for something that isn't real or something that isn't true. But I think in this case, this is a group of people who have expressly stated what their intents and goals are, and those are bad for normal, everyday people. It's dangerous. You run the risk of running into somebody like this who is on some kind of mission, and people have to be aware of that. People have to be cognizant of this and be made to understand that this is a threat out there. Anyway, I think most of this could be stopped if we went back to treating gender confusion for what it is, which is to say a mental illness. I think that this is the kind of thing that it targets people who are confused, people who are having strange and unusual thoughts and dangerous thoughts about themselves and about others, and it tries to exploit that for what undoubtedly the people at the core of it believe is some kind of religious or anti-religious or apocalyptic vision. I don't know. It's a very dangerous thing that people need to be aware of. Anyway, that is all the time I have this week. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab. Nice crew in the mothership. And go check out the merch in the merch store. We'll see you on the next episode.